What was the workshop that gave you the insight, that thing? Because we had 4 workshops and 5 ayahuasca ceremonies. So the first workshop was relation to childhood, the second was spirit releasement, the third one was the shadow, and the fourth one was the energy. So which one impacted more in your experience?
I got a lot out of the shadow workshop as well, especially just examining, what bothers me most in other people. What are those traits that really get under my skin, and why? And realizing that a lot of what I put outside of myself, I'm projecting, and it's something from within.
What, for example?
Yes. In my case, there was this feeling of like needing to be right, needing to be validated in that way, needing to have it right, and people who have it wrong, really bothering me. But it was because of this fear of being wrong. And I realized too, even that shadow, like I put that on my partner. Like he always needs to be right. He puts too much of a dichotomy, thinking things are right or things are wrong. And so in layers, I'm putting this on other people instead of looking within myself and saying, okay, well, my inner child has these feelings of really needing to be right, but really she just needs me to come in and like rescue her and be reliable with her. So it tied into the other workshop as well of, rescuing the inner child and saying, look, I'm here, I'm in charge, I've got your back, and making sure that she feels heard, because if she doesn't feel heard, it just comes out of me in other ways, and I'll put that on other people, like, oh, they're wrong about that, or, things like that, instead of thinking about, where I'm seeing that in myself.
So giving her, your inner child, the unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she's full of love and she trusts, she will not care if it's right or wrong. Doesn't matter anymore. There are so many other possibilities, so many other games you can play together, enjoy together.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk about another workshop too, because
Yes.
I got a lot out of Tio's energy workshop as well. Just, being able to play with my own energy and my own presence. And I think that reminder of just that really simple exercise of, okay, I'm Katie, I'm here right now. Ever since the workshop, I've been trying to do that, like throughout the day. Okay, I'm Katie, I'm here. And it sounds really simple, but it's really easy to forget to be present and to just be present with this moment, and realizing that we need to kind of think about the types of energy that we're taking in, whether it be food or conversations, even noticing myself here, like moments where I want to react, and realizing how important it is to just kind of take a step back, remind myself, okay, I'm here, I'm Katie, and see a situation with more clarity, rather than wasting my energy on just reacting to it, mm-hmm. which is usually the inner child trying to get attention anyway.
Impulsivity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what was that?
Impulsivity,
yes. Yeah. Which I have a tendency to be a little, I see this in my daily life. Like, for example, I might get worried about money, and all of a sudden I have to think of all these different ideas to make that not a worry anymore. But I'm overthinking it. It's kind of like, it's an acting out in a way, because all of a sudden I become sort of obsessive about fixing something that maybe isn't even a problem yet. And just needing to take a step back and breathe and be present in the moment is so important.
Thank you.
Yes, I think the workshops are very well place, and I guess there are no accidents because, you know, we voted for some to come on, and I think they were very perfectly placed, you know.
Yeah, I gave you the possibility of shadow or past life.
Yeah, and we chose shadow, and it was, you know, it served a great purpose for that ceremony. And, you know, first, you know, meeting your inner child, and then doing the shadow, and it just builds on top of each other, which is really helpful because it's like you get an insight the first day. So with the meeting my inner child, I just kind of like got emptiness, and I was kind of like a little bit stuck. And then you walk through it, and that there's different ways to look at it, like asking who is this child, who is it to me, etc. And going into ceremony. And I think aside from the workshops, the discussions within the groups at breakfast, lunch, or in between also really help. And then when we did the spirit releasement, it just kind of made me realize, like, why am I holding all of these things? And then when the shadow work happened, it was like, well, it's me. And then we had a discussion, we had a ceremony, and then we had a discussion, and you know, the realization with all of things combined, the realization was like, well, it's me that's engaging in all of these problems, suffering, pain, the unnecessary discussions. Like the shadow work was, what's the point of me getting annoyed with somebody when actually it's just the annoyance inside me, and therefore being annoyed grows because I'm engaging with it. But if I walk away or get the intelligence of why is it that I'm annoyed, and heal that, and not just heal it from, you know, intelligence wise, but heal it from my heart, and that using everything else around me, using nature, using the energy of others and myself, can also be used to heal this annoyance or pain or distraction that I have. So getting all those workshops and piecing it all together really it's kind of like, you know, a movie. You know, at the beginning you don't know what the story is, and then you get the picture, and then the problem or the climax or the challenge happens, and then right at the very end, because you've got all these tools, very well equipped to solve, you know, the mission that you're on. And for me, that mission was definitely being able to just, as I said before, keep it simple. And the way to keep it simple is I'm being distracted, I'm engaging, I'm escaping. What's the purpose of this? And do I enjoy it? Do I not? And then move on. You know, another epiphany that I had was take what you need. You know, like I had this compulsion of, like, it made me feel this way, and it solved my problem. Therefore, I must have it in my life all the time. I can't live without it. But now I've got what I needed. I've understood that I no longer need to engage with that, or that it's my choice, and I can move on.
You had a strong insight about your need to feel guilty and
Oh.
to sabotage
Oh yeah,
a
thanks
lot
for
of
reminding me.
situations in your life.
Yeah. I mean, now I even forget about guilt, which is great because
It's not a problem anymore in
Yeah.
your life, but you can talk how was before.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that was what came up with everything. I felt guilty if, like, so for example, I was in like a ceremony. I felt guilty that people were having their experience, that I couldn't help them, and I was like, why do you feel that? Like, they're fine, they're doing their thing, and I feel guilty if I was like sitting at a table. I feel guilty if I'm having fun. I feel guilty if I was succeeding, and that guilt, I never saw it until you pointed it out. But I just noticed that was like the story I was coming from. You know, I better stop succeeding because, you know, other people may feel envious, and I don't want people to feel envious.
I don't want people to feel envious.
Yeah.
So, do you realize that I don't want people to feel this?
Yes. And I can't
But
control.
people will feel what they want to feel.
Yeah.
And you cannot do nothing about that.
Yeah.
So imagine the waste of energy trying to control what people will think.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And now I don't even feel it. It doesn't even come into my mind. And I do notice it. Like, it's like, oh, where's that coming from? It's coming from a place of guilt. And yeah, the last workshop of
And
energy.
they need to control.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like it controls me, it controls everybody. Yeah, and yeah, I can't control people's feelings. You know, their experience will be certain. How they experience me is.
But you didn't know that you were a controller.
I didn't.
You had no idea.
No, and again, and I think it was my image. Like, you know, I mean, I wasn't meant to be here. Like, you know, I was meant to be in a different country, and I'm usually because I'm so flexible. Like, oh yeah, I'll go to Brazil because I couldn't go to, because I think I handle challenges or change very easily. It's an image that I have that, but actually, I am in the background controlling. So it's kind of it was very deceiving for me to be able to see that control, but it's definitely there. And guilt keeps me controlled. It keeps me kind of like trapped. And I think throughout the stages, the workshops and the ceremonies, I feel so free of that, and I can be happy without having to feel guilty, and creating joy without having to feel guilty that I'm having or experiencing
And
so much of it.
Let the others think what they want.
Yeah, and energy-wise, it's such a good place. It's such a light place. One of the things that when we said about the entity, you said that when you're in a low vibrating place, entities can come in, and I didn't really understand that until our fourth ceremony, which was the day ceremony, and I just felt all this love and acceptance, and I received people's love, acceptance, and how they appreciated me, and I felt so light, and I felt the high vibration that even when a criticism or a judgment came in, it immediately like eradicated or evaporated because it couldn't come inside me. It couldn't feed off me. And so that was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, the calling. That yesterday evening, everything did fall in place. And I was feeling this just for some time, that it was something inside me that I could not put the words on it, that I needed to do something so that I could liberate something that is inside me. And yes, which
What was that?
it's my inner child, it's my energy, who I am. And I am a beautiful thing. And I want to do beautiful things. And to know that, it's like now I start to look at the world with other eyes.
So it's the first time in your life that you feel that you deserve to be loved, that you are a good being, a good person?
By myself, I think so. It's the first time I really give it to myself. I have been good to give it to other persons, but never to give it to myself. And now that I did it, I love it. And I'm going to continue to do it and just see what's going to happen. But
So your goal is to do what?
help other persons. That I know. And during the ayahuasca, I had also visions with the child that needed help, needed children that needed some help and needed maybe love and a little happiness in the moments they were living.
So you want to work more in service to others
Yes,
now,
yes,
instead of
absolutely.
service to service,
Yes, yes.
to others.
Yes, and I know that doing that, I'm going always to be happy. That
Yeah.
is so beautiful to know that, and I feel it inside me. So I was feeling this calling to go somewhere to get this kind of this information, this revelation, and here I am having it, and it's so beautiful.
This is perfect.
Yeah, it is. So now I'm like, yeah, I want to go out there now with my new vision.
But now you look like a child that was invited to play, and we go to this spectacular place, very
Yes.
full of adventures.
Yes. And I am really excited to go out there again. It's like, I'm vibrating, yes. It's going to be very funny to see what's going to happen because I really don't have any plans and I don't put that kind of pressure on me. It's like I will try to be a phoenix every day in the morning. Just try to reinvent myself every morning and just ask myself, what can I do for you today? How are you feeling? And I love you. It's like
So you can put together the
Yes.
horses you love and the children you want to help and
Yes.
nature all
Yes.
together.
Yes.
This is what I keep saying to people, no? When people say, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what is my career, what I want to do for a job. You go, make a list of what is very important for you, what is mandatory. One column is the mandatory things that have to be in your life. And another list what can be optional. I can have this or it's okay if I don't have it. So it's very clear when you take the time to do this list. No, it's a lot of work. I want to live in a country where what is green, or I love the snow, or I love the cold. Decide, and then you have to materialize this. Completely possible. Now you are mentioning things that you really love, and I can see how you have the capability to put all of this together.
And I feel it inside me too. Thank you so very much. It's like life changing what
Mhm.
has happened here. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I think about the most important workshops, it's very progressive and very gradual. I feel like they all built on top of one another, so it was like a very stackable process that kind of came into play, which also tied into my ceremonies because, this being my first time ever doing anything like this, I felt very just kind of smacked in the face with the experience. Like it just kind of just blasted me, and I was just like, whoa, like what is all these emotions? What are all these feelings? I saw this, I felt that. I couldn't understand, I couldn't process, but I felt like the workshop of the inner child structured or just put, I don't want to say boundaries, but it just gave me like a blueprint to say, okay, well, let me look at these experiences through the lens of this. So to where I could have kind of flew off the rails and made my own assumptions or justifications for what I was seeing, I kind of was able to look at it through this lens that kept me focused. And then it was like, okay, well now if I'm seeing all my experiences through the lens of, this child, the things that are incongruent with my happiness, what are those? So then we had like spiritual releasement.
Mm-hmm.
We had like the spiritual releasement. So then I was able to look back on those experiences and say, this wasn't right, or this was incongruent, or this, you felt this way, and well, what is that? Let me identify that. And I was actually able to go to like physical places in my body and say, oh, well, when I feel this way, it's arriving in my chest, or it's arriving on my neck, and all right, now I have a process to eliminate that, or to close the gap on what this incongruency is, or just totally just burn it in the cosmic fire and send it to another dimension. And it just felt good. There were multiple times where I just had like a pressure or a weight that was on me, and I had the tools to go in, do the work, get rid of it, and I literally felt lighter afterwards. So it was just amazing. And then, from spiritual releasement, we went on to shadow work, and I had like some weird revelations about the shadow work, because we talk about projection, but it was like the things that I identified, that I saw in others, when I was having an incongruency, I realized that I portrayed those traits. So, I feel like I'm a sociable person, but when I get angry, I become distant. But then I look at others and I don't like when they become distant. But I do it myself when I'm, upset or frustrated or anything. So it was just a powerful way to just kind of sit back and be like, wow, you actually do these things that you don't like in other people when you're like not.
But you don't like because you feel that it's aggressive when they are distant? You
See,
feel they
yeah.
are. So because it's passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
When you are angry, you retreat, you are being passive aggressive. You want to punish the other person because you are angry.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of use your adult part and be assertive. And I said, listen, I don't like what you did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is fair, or I don't want to be in this situation again.
Mm-hmm.
Or set the boundaries. You cannot do this, and you retreat yourself to punish the person, and the person have to guess what is happening with you. Why you cannot say, I don't like this?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you didn't like.
Right.
Because it's aggressivity there. You want to punish the person. And when somebody do it to you, it's the same. They want to punish you, but they are not saying what is the problem. Setting the boundaries, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no more problem.
Mm-hmm. So just very powerful, very just those insights. Just now that I know this moving forward, I can carry myself differently, and I can certain things I won't take as personal, and I just feel like I just have a completely new deck of cards to play.
Absolutely.
So I'm just excited, and you know, it was like all of this kind of culminated into like Teal's workshop, where now that we know all of these things, I can be considerate about how I preserve my energy, about how I establish my boundaries, about how I carry myself into certain environments or protect myself from certain environments. And I have the choice, and I know, you know, the consequences of whether I decide to do this or not do that. So it's just very eye-opening, and I'm just thankful that you know, I was able to complete the whole experience, and just the workshops tied with the ceremonies allowed me to apply all of this stuff in my mind. So now I'm just ready to go apply it in the real world.
Thank you. You are a coach.
Yes.
So from a perspective of a coach, what do you think about these techniques, the way we introduce this knowledge to you, how we practice here?
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's very well integrated and along the lines and aligned with the type of coaching that I do. So the coaching that I do, I've been trained in ontological coaching, which is about how you coach the human being. And you know, as a human being, we show up in our body, our emotions and our moods, and in our language. And so what I thought and here I actually say this is, you know, ayahuasca is like coaching the soul, because it takes you to another level. Even though as a human being we appear in those three domains, body, emotions, moods, and language, there's something that envelops us, which is the soul, and then spirit. And what I want to add is, like, you know, the soul of, like, the energy and nature around us. So for me, this is very complementary to what I do as a coach, because it is about, you know, the observer that you are, and observing our shadows. And it really works well, because you end up, I mean, when I do work with my clients, sometimes they'll just go around in circles because they're intellectually trying to process something that only their emotions can process. And then here, and if we have skills of emotions, language, and our body, there's something else that's bigger. There's something else that's calling us that we can't put words to it. And so this is very encompassing and kind of nurturing to be able to hold that space for us as a human being, and trust that we won't have the answers. Our emotions may not be the right, or, you know, and our intelligence, there's something bigger. So I think it's brilliant. Any coach, teacher, or anybody that's working with people needs to do this work, because it's the energy, the exchange. There's the energy within ourselves, the shadows, or what we're projecting into others. But then, what's the energy you create when you're with, you know, one-on-one or with a group? And is that, even though you have the recipe or you've got the step-by-step, I did this course so I know what to say, but if you're not creating the energy of joy, happiness, productivity within the group or the person that you're speaking to, then maybe those steps that you've learned isn't right for that moment, and you need to be able to shift You need to be able to let go that I probably don't know what to do in this situation because every single situation is new. And that allows to kind of like flow. And what I wanted to add as well is that, you know, what you've created here in the center, the nature is just beautiful. When I first arrived, you know, there's so many noises, it's dark, don't know what I'm stepping in. Whenever something new, fear just arises because mentally and also our brain just wants to keep us safe. And it's great, but then that safety can also inhibit us from experiencing what we need to experience. So here, the first day I was like, I've been like, said that I will do these steps, exercising. I was like, oh, I'm going to do steps in the night. And at first I didn't want to listen to the nature noises. I'd listen to like a podcast because I didn't want to hear a twig break or something. I just wanted to like stay. But as I opened up, as you know, I released things, I become less fearful. And then I also noticed that I became less fearful in engaging with people, or I became less fearful in trying something new or trying something that I learned in the workshop, and it was easier for me to let go.
I think the intellectual limitation you are talking when you are working with your clients is because, for example, here during the workshops, I trick you. I don't ask you, what is the worst trauma of your life?
Yes.
I don't go to your rational part. So we enter like in a dream state, and then I will guide you to a guided visualization. So I am tricking you to enter in that trauma without fear, without resistance. So it's something that we are not talking at the beginning. The talk is after the exercise. And it's so natural because you are telling me story without fear. You open your heart without knowing, without defending that you are in danger. That is the most important part. The person will give you the information if they feel safe. So we are working in the safety from the first minute you contact me in internet. We start talking, developing a relationship. Very subtle, that you feel safe. Oh yeah, I can go to this place. And when you come here for the first time, you enter and say, okay, no, this is organized, it's clean, looks good, the people is nice. So little by little, we are building the safety. So people can relax and trust. Yeah, I can open my heart here.
Yeah. And to expand on you when you say the trick, I mean, you trick us, but actually, you know, what ayahuasca does is also it allows us to be able to live in symbolism and metaphors, which is, you know, something that we kind of listened to in the hero's journey last night. Because we're seeing all of these images, it's not like dying, for example. It's not literally that I'm dying. And, you know, what does that symbolize for me right now? What is it that I need to give away? So it's a trick because my mind is usually, I have to earn money, I have to do a job, so I can't let that go. But in ayahuasca, in the ceremony, something's dying, and it's, I need to let that die.
But sometimes can be that you are experiencing again the trauma of your birth.
Yeah.
Because the fetus feels, I am dying. They don't know that there is a life, a world in the other side. In that moment is the end. So that's why we always carry this trauma. And for some people it was very traumatic. In that moment you are dying. Of course, nobody dies.
Yeah.
But it's a feeling. It's so real because you have to re-experience this. And you reverse. There is another world. And this is an illusion. Oh, this is the end. In my opinion also, after we die, there is much more. Multi-universes to experience. This is only a little part, no?
Yeah.
One last thing, maybe?
Yeah?
The food, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What?
The food.
The food.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We need to talk about the food.
Oh.
Me being a meat eater, liking barbecues, and coming here, and my view changed about food.
About vegan food.
Yes, yes. Wonderful. I had like a big time eating here. It was like every day something new, something different. So I love it.
A lot of variety.
Yes. Wonderful.
I think people cannot imagine that vegan food can be so good. A lot of people think that it's only salads and veggies. No, if you really know how to cook vegan food, there are a lot of variety and products that is very rich. And then you feel much better. I see that this group are very friendly between yourselves. They got along very well. The combination was really spectacular. And I hope you have a wonderful time together in Itacaré and more adventures to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia and Sue.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.